Every system collapses when it meets a power it cannot measure. That is why, Chosen One, they are investigating you. Not because you asked for attention, not because you begged to be noticed, but because you carry something they can't explain, can't contain, and can't copy. The three mysterious powers that live inside you are shaking their structures from the inside out. And the truth is, they fear what they cannot name. Now imagine this for a moment. Chosen One. A scientist spends years trying to map every star in the sky. The charts look perfect, the math flawless, until one night a light appears in the sky that no telescope can track, no satellite can confirm, and no record can explain. That star shouldn't exist, but it does. And suddenly, every map, every calculation, and every proud declaration of certainty falls apart. That is what your existence feels like to them. You are that impossible star, shining in the dark, breaking their illusions of control. And here's a fact they don't want to admit. Unexplained human phenomena have always terrified the establishment more than storms or earthquakes. Why? Because the Earth's chaos can be studied, but a person who defies logic becomes a threat to every rule, every system, and every power structure that claims to know it all. History is full of this truth. From genius minds once mocked for being mad until their discoveries changed the world, to individuals who simply refused to be broken when the odds said they should have been destroyed, mystery has always lived in human form. And right now, that mystery lives in you. And thank you, Chosen One. Don't forget to pay this message back by simply pressing the like and subscribe button to help spread this message to more souls. It is the responsibility of all of us to spread the light. Thank you for being part of this mission. You are not just listening, you are part of a force. Now let's return to our truth. They are not studying you out of admiration. They are dissecting you out of desperation. They whisper in rooms where you are not present. They take notes on how you survive storms that should have drowned you. They argue over how you seem to sense things before they happen. They grit their teeth when your presence changes the energy in a room. You're not fitting into any of their categories, and that drives them mad. The system thrives on labels, boxes, and explanations. But you are the one variable that keeps breaking their equations. Psychologists try to call it heightened intuition. Scientists suggest it must be linked to patterns in your brain. Analysts chalk it up to coincidence, but none of their theories satisfy the one question they cannot answer. How do you keep walking through fires that should have left nothing behind but ashes? You don't bend to their logic. You bend reality around you. And that is why their investigations have become relentless. You are no longer a person in their eyes. You are a puzzle, and puzzles demand solving. But here's the irony. They will never solve you. The more they try to analyze, the more they prove their own limitations. You are not something to be charted, tested, or explained. You are the glitch in their simulation, the crack in their mirror, the shadow that refuses to move the way shadows should. And it scares them. Because if one person can exist beyond their rules, what does that say about the system itself? If you can't be controlled, then control itself is an illusion. So buckle up, Chosen One. Tonight, we are not here for fairy tales, gimmicks, or fantasies. We are here to face the raw truth. You carry three mysterious powers that only you possess. These powers are being investigated not just because they fascinate, but because they threaten. They are the three forces they cannot steal, track, or reproduce. The three reasons your name is whispered in private conversations. The three triggers that make the powerful restless in their sleep. And if history has shown us anything, it is this. every unsolved mystery eventually reshapes the world. Every enigma forces change, and you are no different. The more they investigate, the closer they come to realizing a truth they cannot stop. You are the mystery that rewrites the story, and once the veil lifts, nothing will ever look the same again. So, Chosen One, before we dive into the heart of these three mysterious powers, let me ask you something. Are you ready to step into the truth that's making them lose sleep at night? If you feel that pull in your chest right now, drop the number 777 in the comments, because that number marks alignment with mystery and power. And if this message is hitting you, don't forget to bless the mission behind it. Every like, every share, every small act of support fuels this force and helps spread it to more souls who need to hear it. Remember, Chosen One, nothing you give is wasted, because energy, just like the powers inside you, always returns multiplied. So stay with me, because what we are about to reveal isn't entertainment. It's confirmation. They are investigating you for a reason, and by the end of this message, you'll understand exactly why. And now, let's step into it, piece by piece. And believe me, if you truly carry these powers, you won't be able to look away until the end. Let's get started. Number 1, you shake the room without saying a word. They hate you because you remind them that masks can't survive in real light. That's the gut punch, Chosen One. The very moment you walk into a room, their carefully crafted illusions begin to crack. They may not admit it, but they feel it in their bones. The shift, the silence, the sudden weight in the air. You don't need to raise your voice, you don't need to demand attention, and you don't need to prove anything. Your presence alone pulls the truth out of hiding, and that terrifies them. Now imagine this for a moment. A theater packed full of actors, each one perfect in costume, perfect in voice, pretending to be someone they're not. The crowd is entertained, the lies look real, and everything seems in order, until a single spotlight shines unexpectedly on one figure that doesn't belong to the play. That's you. You step in, not even trying to disrupt the performance, but instantly the illusion is ruined. The audience notices the difference. The actors panic. And suddenly, no one can pretend as easily as they did before. That's why your presence is under investigation, Chosen One, because you expose what should have stayed hidden. And here's the fact they don't want to accept. Energy is real, measurable, and undeniable. Science already admits that the human body produces an electromagnetic field detectable several feet away. That's not spirituality, that's physics. So when people say, "I just felt something when you walked in," they're not imagining it. Their nervous system is literally responding to yours. They sense the charge you carry, the frequency that doesn't match the average, and it unsettles them. They try to rationalize it, but what they're really experiencing is the undeniable reality of your rare energy signature. The enemy hates this because it levels the playing field in ways they can't control. Most people fight tooth and nail to be noticed. They adjust their image, they fake confidence, they scream for attention. But you? You do nothing and the room bends around you. That alone feels like an insult to them. It makes their effort look weak, fake, unnecessary. They think, how can someone who isn't even trying draw more focus than me? And that question burns them alive, because the answer is something they can never duplicate. Your presence is their mirror, Chosen One, and mirrors don't lie. To the authentic, you feel like oxygen, refreshing, life-giving, undeniable. To the fake, you feel like poison because your very existence reveals the cracks in their foundation. Have you noticed how some people instantly warm up to you while others stiffen, pull back, or even start throwing shade for no reason? That's not random. That's your power at work. You're not just stepping into spaces, you're rearranging them. But here's the brutal truth. That's exactly why they can't stop watching you. They will analyze your walk, your posture, your silence, even your smallest gestures, hoping to decode what makes you so different. They'll label it charisma. They'll say it's confidence. They'll claim it's just your looks. But deep down, they know they're lying to themselves. Because no cosmetic trick, no fake persona, no loud performance has ever produced the same result. What you carry can't be packaged, it can't be taught, it can't be stolen. And that's what drives them mad. Because in a world addicted to control, your presence is uncontrollable. They cannot predict the effect you'll have, they cannot prepare for it, and they cannot escape it once you arrive. They will laugh about it in public, pretend it doesn't matter, but watch how their eyes betray them when you walk by. Their bodies give them away, shoulders tense, voices falter, eyes follow you. They can't help it. Their nervous system already recognized you before their mind could explain why. Let me ask you this, chosen one. How many times have you entered a room quietly, not wanting attention, yet suddenly found yourself at the center of it anyway? How many times have people you barely knew confessed later that they couldn't stop noticing you? And how many times have others treated you with coldness or hostility for no reason at all? You've lived this mystery, and you know it's true. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. And understand this, the energy you carry is not a costume you can take off. It follows you everywhere, at work, in your family, even in public with strangers. Some will find themselves drawn to you like metal to a magnet. Others will feel the urge to push you away, to isolate you, to make you doubt yourself. But that's not because you're weak. That's because you're powerful. Because your presence makes every mask slip, every lie tremble, and every weak foundation shake. This is why they investigate. They can't stand the fact that environments are not neutral when you're around. Rooms are never the same after you arrive. Conversations shift, energies tilt, truths bubble up to the surface. And they don't know how to deal with it. To them, you are a glitch in their carefully designed system, a variable that ruins their predictable script. And nothing unsettles those in power more than what they cannot predict. But here's where the motivation comes in for you. Chosen one, stop shrinking to make them comfortable. Stop apologizing for energy that you never asked for but were born to carry. Do you realize how rare it is to command a space without speaking? Do you know how many wish they could silence a room with only their presence? And you, without effort, without theatrics, do it every single time. That's not a burden. That's your crown. The enemy may glare, whisper, and roll their eyes, but secretly they're documenting you. They're studying, measuring, and still failing to understand. They don't hate you because you're weak. They hate you because you are undeniable. And no matter how much they plot, mock, or scheme, they cannot erase the simple truth. Your presence is power. So own it, chosen one. Walk into every room knowing you don't need to perform to be felt. You don't need to chase attention. It chases you. You don't need to explain yourself. Your energy already spoke before you opened your mouth. That's your first mysterious power, the one they're investigating right now. And the deeper you understand it, the more unstoppable you become. Number 2, you carry memories that shouldn't belong to you, yet they guide every step. They fear you because you remember what they've worked hard to forget. That's the punch, Chosen One. You carry a knowing that doesn't match your years, your background, or your training, and that unsettles them, because in their world, knowledge is currency, earned, bought, tested, and certified. But you walk around holding fragments of truths, patterns, and warnings that you were never supposed to have access to. And every time you act on it, you prove their systems are a lie. Now imagine this for a moment. A person sits down to play chess for the first time. The rules are foreign, the pieces confusing, but somehow their hands move as if they've played 100 games before. Their opponent stares, wondering, how do they already know my next move? That's what it feels like watching you. You step into situations with a memory that doesn't belong to your conscious mind, yet it whispers instructions that always seem to keep you 2 steps ahead. And they hate it because it reminds them that not all intelligence can be measured and not all wisdom can be explained. Here's a fact. Studies show that the human body can store genetic memory. Trauma, knowledge, and experiences from generations before you can actually imprint themselves into your DNA, shaping the way you react, the instincts you carry, even the fears or strengths you've never personally lived through. And that's just the science they've admitted to. So when they see you making choices that line up perfectly without logical preparation, they can't deny something deeper is at work. You're not guessing, you're remembering. Some doors open not because you found the key, but because you carried it all along. That's why you frustrate them, Chosen One. Others stumble, test, and fail their way forward. But you seem to know where the traps are, even before you step into the room. You sense who's genuine and who's pretending. You choose roads that look foolish at first, but turn out to be exactly where you needed to be. And when people ask you how you knew, you can't even explain it. You just knew. That's your second mysterious power. They call it coincidence, intuition, maybe even luck. But deep down, they know they're looking at something bigger, an archive that lives inside you. Now picture this. A traveler walks into a maze with walls higher than their head. Everyone else stumbles, trying one dead end after another, wasting time and energy. But you move as though you've walked that maze before, as though someone already mapped it out for you. You take turns others avoid. You stop when no one else would pause, and somehow you reach the center while they're still circling. That's why they investigate you, because in a world where they control knowledge with books, degrees, and systems, you are proof that the most powerful instructions are written where no one else can steal them. And let's be honest, this isn't ordinary intuition. Intuition is guessing. You aren't guessing. You're recalling. You're pulling from something stored so deep that even you don't understand where it comes from. It feels like déjà vu, like standing in a place you've never been yet, knowing exactly where the exits are. And that unnerves people because it forces them to confront a truth they despise. Some wisdom doesn't belong to their schools, their titles, or their hierarchies. Some wisdom lives in the marrow of certain people, and you are one of them. Your knowing is their threat because it cannot be purchased, bribed, or stolen. That's why they're restless around you. They want to extract it, to pin it down, to catalog it. But they can't. No test reveals it. No machine scans it. No interrogation can make you hand it over. Because the memory you carry doesn't belong to the conscious mind. It belongs to something deeper, something untouchable. And that makes you dangerous to a world built on control. Have you noticed this, Chosen One? You warn people of things they can't see yet, only to watch them later admit you were right. You take paths others mock, only to see those same paths become the foundation of their envy. You sense the ending of stories before the first chapter is finished, and it leaves others both fascinated and unsettled. How do you explain that? How do you teach it? You don't. You can't. Because it isn't taught. It's remembered. Now imagine this again. Two builders are given land. One spends years learning, studying blueprints, testing measurements. The other simply picks up a hammer and starts building, as if guided by unseen instructions. The first builder scoffs, thinking they'll collapse without training. But when the house stands stronger, straighter and taller, the silence in the room speaks louder than applause. That's your life. You build with knowledge that wasn't supposed to be yours, and they cannot forgive you for it. And here's the brutal truth. This memory inside you is the reason you often feel ahead of your time. You say things people dismiss, only for them to realize years later that you were right all along. You sense storms before the first raindrop. You see betrayal before it strikes. You recognize opportunity before it blossoms, and while others call it luck, you know it's something else. It's remembrance, an imprint within you that no system can take credit for. Your knowing exposes their ignorance. That's the quote that burns them most. Because every time you speak with that quiet confidence, every time you choose the right path without explanation, you remind them of their fragility. Their systems look weak next to your silence. Their certificates look empty next to your accuracy. And their arrogance looks laughable next to your unshakable knowing. So, chosen one, let me ask you, how many times have you surprised yourself with answers you couldn't explain? How many times have people looked at you suspiciously, wondering how you figured something out so quickly? And how many times have you felt the weight of this gift, wishing you could just switch it off? But here's the truth. You can't, and you shouldn't. This is not a burden. This is your second mysterious power. That's why they investigate. That's why they whisper about you, because you prove a fact that terrifies them. Not all wisdom is taught. Some wisdom is carried. Some wisdom is inherited through time, through spirit, through imprint. And no matter how much they study, they will never crack the code of what you carry inside. So hold it firmly, chosen one. Don't doubt your knowing, don't downplay your remembrance, and don't let them trick you into thinking you're just lucky. You are the living reminder that some mysteries are etched into the soul long before the mind tries to explain them. And the more they investigate, the more restless they'll become, because no system can own what you already are. Number 3. You rip the mask off every hidden pattern. They despise you because your eyes don't just look, they strip away illusions. That's the truth, chosen one. The third power under investigation is your ability to see patterns they've worked their whole lives to bury. While others are dazzled by smiles, smooth words, and polished masks, you pierce straight through to the fracture lines beneath. And nothing rattles a liar more than standing in front of someone who already knows. Now imagine this, a magician on stage, dazzling the crowd with tricks, smoke, and mirrors. The audience claps in awe, convinced they've seen the impossible. But you're the one in the crowd who instantly notices the wire hidden in the smoke, the sleight of hand in the shadows. You don't need the magician to confess. You already caught the move. That's how you live every day. Their games collapse the moment you step in, and that drives them mad. Here's a brutal fact. Most of society runs on illusion. Families hide dysfunction under tradition. Workplaces thrive on fake smiles and silent backstabbing. Communities survive by keeping secrets under polite masks. But you, without lifting a finger, become the crack in that glass. a pause in their story, a tone that doesn't match the words, an unnecessary detail they throw in to cover the lie. You catch it all. And worse for them, you don't play dumb about it. Even your silence screams, "I know." Your presence is truth's spotlight, and liars hate bright lights. That's why people grow uneasy around you. It's not that you call them out publicly, it's that they feel naked in your presence, as though their disguise never really worked. You don't need witnesses, evidence, or months of deduction. You walk in and know, and they cannot stand the unfairness of that clarity. Now imagine this again. A tapestry hung on a wall, beautiful, flawless at first glance. Everyone admires it. But your eyes catch the one loose thread, the one line that doesn't belong. You tug it with a single glance, and suddenly the entire picture begins to unravel. That's your gift, and that's their nightmare. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have you caught lies that no one else noticed? How many times have you seen betrayal coming before the dagger struck? How many times have people avoided your eyes, terrified you might read what they've been hiding? You already know the answer. That's why they investigate. Because your perception isn't a game. It's a threat to every illusion they depend on. This is the third mysterious power they cannot replicate, cannot study, cannot survive under. You are the mirror they fear, the detector they cannot disarm, and no matter how much they polish their act, they already know you've seen too much. Number 4, you break every law of defeat. They prayed for your collapse, but every stone they threw became another step under your feet. That's the gut punch, chosen one. Your fourth power, the one they obsessively investigate, is your resilience, and it doesn't make sense to them. By every human standard, you shouldn't even be standing. You've taken losses that should have shattered you, betrayals that should have left you bitter, and storms that should have erased your light. Yet here you are, alive, sharper, stronger, walking with purpose they can't calculate. Now imagine this, a glass dropped from a tall building. Everyone expects it to shatter on impact, but instead of breaking, it bounces harder than before, unrecognizable to the laws of physics they trust. That's you. Your life should have left you in pieces, but somehow you rise each time even less breakable than before. And that's why they study you, because you are proof that their definitions of strength are incomplete. Here's the brutal fact. Most people are defined by their pain. Some never recover from heartbreak. Others let rejection hollow them out. Many collapse under pressure and never return. But you, pain is your forge. Hardship doesn't consume you, it refines you. Every betrayal sharpened you. Every loss carved away weakness. Every storm you endured left you carrying wisdom no book could teach. And that terrifies them, because it means nothing they do can erase you. They can wound you, but they can never own you. That's why you unsettle them. They keep waiting for the day you finally fold, finally surrender, finally let the scars define you. But instead, you come back evolved, upgraded, transformed. You don't crawl out of the rubble, you use it as bricks to build higher. To them, it looks like madness. To you, it's instinct. Picture this, a fire set to destroy a forest. Trees fall, smoke rises, destruction spreads. Yet months later, green shoots rise through the ashes, stronger, unstoppable. That's you. They thought the flames would consume you, but instead, you grew in places they never imagined. You became proof that nothing they throw at you can end you. It only forces you to grow beyond their reach. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have people whispered, "This one will finally break them," only to watch you rise taller? How many times have you surprised even yourself with the strength that came out of nowhere? That's your power. It doesn't follow human logic. It isn't recovery. It's unbreakability. And that's the truth they hate most. You don't just survive, you evolve. You don't just endure, you dominate. And every time they witness it, they realize resilience isn't what you do. It's who you are, and no logic, no attack, no system can explain it or stop it. Number 5, you command without speaking, and it haunts them. They hate you because your silence changes more than their loudest speeches ever could. That's the gut punch, chosen one. The 5th mysterious power under investigation is your influence, the kind that doesn't follow rules, doesn't ask permission, and doesn't need a stage. You unsettle them because your mere existence pushes people to shift, to question, to change. And the worst part for them, you're not even trying. Now imagine this, a single drop of ink in a glass of water. No shouting, no effort, no demand, yet slowly the entire glass transforms. That's you. Your choices, your integrity, your refusal to bow to corruption ripple out far beyond what you can see. People notice, and without you lifting a finger, their excuses begin to crumble. That's why they fear you. Because while they waste energy manipulating, persuading, and performing, you bend reality around you simply by being who you are. Here's a fact. Psychologists call it social contagion. Human behavior spreads like fire. One person yawns and others follow. But your effect is different. It isn't surface mimicry. Your presence challenges the very core of people's values. You don't just inspire action, you expose weakness. When they see you walk away from what poisons you, it forces them to face their own addictions. When they hear your silence in the middle of lies, it weighs heavier than 1,000 accusations. That's not influence. They'd call that haunting. Your existence is their mirror, and they can't stand what they see. To some, you feel like freedom. To others, you feel like judgment. But either way, no one leaves you unchanged. Have you noticed this, chosen one? You didn't set out to lead, yet people follow. You didn't demand attention, yet conversations twist when you're at the table. You didn't ask to be an example, yet people measure themselves against the choices you make. That's not coincidence. That's power. And here's the irony. They could resist a leader, they could argue with a preacher, they could unfollow a politician, but how do they resist someone who isn't even trying to influence them? They can't. Your influence lingers long after you leave, echoing in their decisions, their doubts, their guilt, and their growth. That's what terrifies them the most. Not that you want control, but that control bends around you whether you seek it or not. Number 6, you rule without a throne, and it breaks their illusion. They hate you because no crown, no title, no system could ever give what you carry naturally. That's the gut punch, chosen one. The 6th mysterious power they investigate is your untouchable authority, the kind that cannot be bought, borrowed, or stolen. In a world obsessed with ranks, degrees, and promotions, they can't stand the fact that you walk in with none of their badges, yet command more respect than all their titles combined. Now imagine this: a soldier with every medal on his chest walks into a room, puffed up with pride. Yet the moment you enter, all eyes shift, not to him, but to you. He earned his stripes through systems, but you earned your gravity by being who you are. That's the difference. Their authority is borrowed, yours is embedded, and that burns them. Here's a fact. Studies in leadership psychology reveal that people follow not the loudest or most decorated, but the one whose presence inspires trust without force. Authority that's real doesn't need shouting. It radiates. That's why when you speak, even softly, your words weigh more than another's speech. And when you stay silent, that silence speaks volumes they cannot compete with. Your presence bends hierarchies without lifting a finger. Have you noticed it? Rooms shift when you arrive. People who outrank you on paper hesitate in your presence. They sense something in you they can't name, a stability, a certainty, a weight their systems can't fabricate. They may never admit it, but they feel it in their bones. You are not someone to overlook. Now imagine this again, a king sitting on his throne, jeweled crown gleaming, servants at his feet. Then a lone figure walks in with no robe, no gold, no crown, and yet the king feels small. That's you. You remind them that power stamped by systems is fragile, but authority carried in essence is untouchable. Every attempt to undermine you, mockery, lies, exclusion, only proves their desperation. Because no matter what they strip away, they can't touch what you embody. Authority that isn't given cannot be taken, and that's what terrifies them most. So, chosen one, understand this. They may outrank you in titles, but in the presence of real authority, their illusion collapses. Yours is not earned, not granted, it's lived. And nothing, no system, no enemy, no attack can erase it. Number 7, you walk outside their clocks and it breaks their control. They panic over seconds while you move like eternity is on your side. That's the gut punch, chosen one. Your 7th mysterious power, the one that unsettles them most, is your strange relationship with time. While they scramble, chase, and beg the clock for mercy, you walk steady, calm, unbothered. And it drives them mad because they live as slaves to urgency while you bend it with your very existence. Now imagine this, a runner at the starting line, muscles tense, heart pounding, waiting for the gunshot. The crowd is screaming, the pressure is suffocating, but you're not even on the track. You're already waiting at the finish line, leaning calmly against the ribbon. That's what your life feels like to them. While they sprint and burn themselves out, you arrive where you need to be without losing your breath. Here's a fact. Psychologists have studied temporal perspective, the way humans relate to time. Most people are stuck either reliving regrets of the past or fearing an uncertain future. But your rhythm is different. You don't belong to either prison. That's why you don't crumble when someone says you're running out of time. Deadlines don't control you. Pressure doesn't break you. You move as though you've already seen how the story ends, and that confidence unnerves them more than anything else. Your patience is their torment because it proves rushing isn't power, it's weakness. They want you to panic when they shout, "Hurry!" They want you to collapse when the clock ticks loud. But you don't. You wait when waiting is right, and you move when movement is aligned. And somehow, every time, you arrive on time, not by their standards, but by the universe's. Picture this. A fisherman casts his net too early and catches nothing. Another waits too long and misses the tide. But you pull at the exact moment the waters swell and the net overflows. That's why they investigate you. Because in a world where timing is everything, you've mastered what they can't teach, what they can't measure, what they can't control. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have people mocked your patience only to watch your timing prove perfect? How many times have you been told you were late only to see your step land exactly where it needed to? That's not accident. That's your rhythm with eternity. This is the seventh power, the one they cannot decode. You are not tied to their clocks. You walk with timing they will never master, and that is why your very existence exposes them, because they realize deep down that time doesn't own everyone. It bends for those it cannot break. Number 8. Your gaze shatters the lies they hide behind. They fear your eyes because you don't just look at them, you strip them down to their truth. That's the gut punch, chosen one. Your eighth mysterious power is the weight of witness, and no one escapes it. People can laugh at your words, dismiss your silence, even mock your presence. But the second your eyes meet theirs, their soul flinches. They feel seen in ways they've spent years trying to avoid, and that terrifies them. Now imagine this. A thief sneaks into a room, pockets full of stolen gold. The place is empty, safe, or so he thinks. But suddenly, a single spotlight switches on, and someone is standing there, watching. No words, no accusation, just eyes locked on him. His heart races, not because he was caught physically, but because his own guilt screams louder than any judge could. That's what your gaze does to people. You don't need to accuse. Their own conscience convicts them the moment they stand before you. Your eyes are a mirror they can't escape. That's why people fidget, grow defensive, or over-explain themselves in your presence. It's not that you demand answers, they offer them. They reveal secrets they swore they'd never speak. Not because you pulled them out, but because your silent witness made their lies too heavy to carry. Investigators are baffled by this. How is it that strangers confess to you? How is it that people trust you with truths they can't even admit to themselves? It's because your presence weakens deception. It melts away the masks, forcing reality to bleed through. Here's a fact. Psychologists have proven that prolonged eye contact triggers a deep limbic response, the emotional brain firing uncontrollably. That's why liars avert their eyes, why guilty people stumble, why truth always feels heavier under a steady gaze. And your eyes, chosen one, don't just carry biology, they carry weight. History, conviction, alignment. That's why they can't fake it, no matter how hard they try. Now imagine this again, a courtroom full of noise, lawyers shouting, witnesses dodging, evidence twisted. Then one figure walks in and says nothing, only looks at the accused. Silence falls. The shouting feels pointless. The guilty can't hold that gaze. That's you. You don't need arguments. Your witness is louder than proof. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have people poured their hearts out to you without reason? How many times have lies unraveled in front of you with no effort on your part? How many times have you seen people lash out defensively, not because you attacked them, but because your eyes told them they couldn't hide? You already know, and that's why they investigate you, because your gaze doesn't just see actions, it sees truth. It terrifies the deceivers, liberates the honest, and changes everyone it touches. No matter what mask they wear, one look from you reminds them there is no hiding here. Number 9, you're priceless, and that destroys their leverage. They can tempt the world with gold, but your soul doesn't bow to shiny chains. That's the gut punch, chosen one. The 9th mysterious power they cannot crack is your refusal to be bribed. In a society built on bait and leashes, you stand as living proof that not everyone has a price. And that terrifies them, because control only works when people are willing to sell themselves cheap. Now imagine this. A fisherman casts his net, tossing out scraps to lure the fish. The ocean obeys him because the fish bite without thinking. But then comes one creature that refuses the bait, swimming freely no matter how tempting the hook looks. The fisherman grows angry, frustrated, desperate. That's you. While everyone else scrambles for the reward, you refuse to be trapped. And the harder they try to dangle their prizes, the more dangerous you become in their eyes. Your indifference to their rewards exposes their weakness. They can wave money, titles, attention, things that enslave millions, yet you don't flinch. They whisper about you because you prove their system is fragile. If one person can't be bought, what stops others from realizing they don't have to be either? That's the silent revolution you carry every time you walk away from their counterfeit offers. Here's the fact they hate. Most people don't betray themselves because they're evil. They do it because they're bought. They'll sell out their peace for a paycheck, their integrity for applause, their freedom for a seat at someone else's table. But you'd rather stand alone in truth than sit at a banquet of lies. And that makes you untouchable. Now imagine this again. A man waves keys in front of a locked door, boasting about the power he has to let people in or keep them out. Everyone begs for the key, bending low to earn his approval. But you walk past the door entirely, building a path no one else imagined. Suddenly, the man with the keys looks powerless. That's what your refusal does. You collapse their illusion of control. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have you walked away from things others would kill to have? How many times have people whispered, "Why didn't they take it?" without realizing you saw the strings attached? That's your freedom. If it costs your soul, it isn't worth the price. And that's why they investigate you. You're proof that abundance isn't about being bought, it's about not being owned. You don't chase rewards, you attract alignment. You don't compromise, you rise above the trap. And in a world where everyone is for sale, your pricelessness makes you unstoppable. Number 10. You strike without proof, yet always hit the mark. They call it guessing, but you call it knowing, and every time you're right, their logic dies a little more. That's the gut punch, chosen one. Your 10th mysterious power is intuition that refuses to obey the rules of reason, yet still lands with flawless accuracy. You bypass the formulas, the probabilities, the endless spreadsheets of evidence they cling to, and still arrive at the truth faster than their systems ever could. And that drives them insane. Now imagine this. 2 explorers stand before a vast desert. One studies maps, compasses and calculations, terrified of taking the wrong step. The other, without tools, without guides, simply feels the pull of the wind and starts walking. Days later, the one with maps is lost in circles, while the one who trusted their inner compass reaches the oasis. That's you. To them, it looks reckless. To you, it feels inevitable. Here's a fact. Scientists admit that the human brain processes millions of bits of information subconsciously every second. Most people never notice it, but your system does. That's why your intuition isn't random. It's precision disguised as mystery. You notice the tone in someone's voice that doesn't match the words. You sense the shift in energy that hints at danger before it arrives. You see the opportunity while it still looks invisible to others. And the consistency of your accuracy terrifies them because it proves there are truths logic cannot measure. Your intuition is the algorithm they'll never be able to code. That's why they investigate you. They can build machines that predict behavior, but they can't program a soul. They can track data, but they can't track the silent knowing that tells you when to step forward and when to wait. They can't contain the way you move outside their rules, yet always land exactly where you need to be. Now imagine this again. An archer closes their eyes, ignores the calculations of distance and wind, and releases the arrow. Against all odds, the arrow hits the bullseye. That's your life. People call it luck because they don't want to admit its mastery. They dismiss it as coincidence because they can't admit its power. But deep down, they know you're tuned into a stream no machine can intercept. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have you acted on a quiet inner nudge only to watch it prove right later? How many times have others mocked your decision only to come back shocked at the outcome? You've lived this power again and again, and you know it isn't luck, it's alignment. That's why they can't stand you, because every time you move correctly without evidence, you prove their logic has limits. You show them that wisdom isn't always found in numbers, but in knowing. And you are living proof that intuition isn't weakness, it's the sharpest weapon of all. Number 11. You expose the blueprint hidden in their storms. They want chaos to blind you, but your eyes turn their fog into maps. That's the gut punch, chosen one. The 11th mysterious power they investigate is your ability to see order where others see only collapse. Most people drown in confusion, running, panicking, surrendering to fear, but you stand still, watching, reading the lines beneath the madness, and nothing unsettles them more than someone who refuses to be fooled by noise. Now imagine this, a battlefield where smoke covers everything, soldiers stumbling blindly, fighting shadows they can't see. Then there's you, calm in the haze, noticing the wind direction, the footprints in the dirt, the strategy hidden in the mess. While others waste their strength striking at ghosts, you already know where the real enemy is. That's why they study you, because where confusion cripples others, it sharpens you. Here's the fact. Chaos is the oldest trick in the book. Systems thrive on distraction. Overload people with half-truths, conflicting stories, deadlines, alarms, and fear, and they'll give up clarity just to feel safe. But your presence breaks that spell. You don't accept confusion at face value. You interpret it. You pull patterns out of noise, design out of disorder, and once you reveal it, chaos collapses. Your calm is their weakness because it makes their storms look staged. That's why they can't stand you. They rely on panic to control the masses, but you don't panic. You don't chase every headline. You don't bow to every emergency. You don't lose yourself in every false fire they set. You look deeper. You see the thread connecting it all. And once you see the thread, the whole illusion unravels. Picture this again, a tangled ball of yarn thrown into a corner. Most people pull at it wildly, making the knot tighter. But you study it quietly, find the one loose end, and pull until the entire knot dissolves. That's your gift. You don't add to the chaos, you reveal the structure that was never meant to be exposed. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have you seen meaning in what everyone else called random? How many times have you stayed calm in storms that left others broken? How many times have people accused you of recklessness, only to realize later you were the only one who saw clearly? You already know the answer, and that's why they investigate you. Because your clarity destroys their greatest weapon. They can't distract you. They can't confuse you. They can't blind you with storms. You see too much. You see the blueprint behind their chaos. And once you see it, they lose their grip. Number 12. You cure wounds. They profit from keeping open. They hate you because your presence does what their billion-dollar systems could never do, set people free. That's the gut punch, chosen one. Your 12th mysterious power is healing that flows without medicine, without rituals, without prescriptions, and that terrifies them. In a world where industries thrive on keeping people broken, you walk in and undo their work simply by being. Now imagine this. A room filled with noise, voices shouting, machines buzzing, chaos pressing down on everyone's chest. Then you enter, and without saying a word, the noise doesn't seem so loud anymore. Breathing feels easier. Thoughts untangle. Rage softens. That's your effect. They don't know how to explain it, and that's why they study you. Because you're living proof that restoration doesn't have to be manufactured, sold, or stamped with approval. Your calm is the medicine they'll never patent. People leave your presence lighter, freer, and they can't put it into words. Their burdens don't feel as heavy, their racing thoughts slow. Their pain, which felt unbearable, begins to loosen its grip. And here's what unsettles them most. You don't demand loyalty in exchange for healing. You don't bind people to dependency. You release them. And in a world built on repeat customers, that makes you a threat. Here's the fact. Studies already show that human energy, empathy, and presence can lower stress, reduce pain, and regulate heart rhythms. Science calls it coherence. But you don't need a lab to prove it. People feel it every time they're near you. And the systems built on pills, prescriptions, and endless therapy sessions despise that truth. Because if people truly healed, their empires would collapse. Now imagine this again, a cracked vase leaking water. Most try to tape it, glue it, patch it up temporarily, but the water still escapes. Then you step in, not with tools, but with presence, and suddenly the cracks stop leaking. Not because you forced it, but because your energy reminded the vase how to hold itself together again. That's what you are for people, a living repair they can't explain. So let me ask you, chosen one, how many times have people poured their pain out to you without reason, only to leave feeling lighter? How many times have strangers trusted you with wounds they've hidden for years? And how many times have you watched bitterness dissolve in someone's eyes just because you stayed present with them? You already know. That's why they investigate you, because your healing exposes their fraud. You don't sell cures, you embody them. You don't enslave, you free. And no machine, no drug, no system can replicate what you carry. You turned your pain into medicine, and now you radiate wholeness that can't be stolen, packaged, or stopped. And that makes you unstoppable. And chosen one, if this message spoke to you, remember, it's not by accident. These mysterious powers are real, and they're the very reason they can't stop watching you. You're not ordinary, and you never will be. Now, before you go, press that like button if you haven't already, and if you're still not part of this family, make sure to press subscribe and join us. Together, we spread the light wider, further, stronger. Your support fuels this mission, and your presence changes everything. Stay unshakable, chosen one. The universe is only beginning to reveal the depths of your power.